Good evening, and welcome to my humble little tea party. Now close your eyes. Renee!
Hey everybody, this is Scott from RPGFan, and we are back with a second preview for Trails through Daybreak 2. This time we get to check out another portion of the game that we did not get to check out in the previous preview that we had a few months ago. But first, more important information is the fact that there's going to be 2 demos for Trails through Daybreak 2. Yes, you heard me correctly, boys and girls. There's going to be 2 demos. Both demos will drop on January 24th, and there's a few differences between the two. The first of these demos is your standard story demo. It will cover the prologue and chapter 1 of the game, and when you finish, the game save data will carry over to the main game when you get it. The other demo will be a gameplay-focused demo. It covers a lot of the optional and post-game stuff you'll get to do in Daybreak 2, and the focus of the video today. This demo will cover the, and excuse me as I butcher the German language here, Martian Garden portion of the game. This will allow you to go through this portion of the game with 2 different pre-selected parties, and save data will not carry over to the main game. It is a demo strictly for having fun. So that brings us to the question of, what is Martian Garden? Well, Martian Garden is an optional area of the game that you do not need to complete in order to beat the game, but it's a lot like the Reverie Corridor from Trails in the Reverie. So within the garden, you'll be able to gain things like levels, bonuses, equipment, sepith, other costumes for the characters out there. It even has exclusive post-game floors and story content that you'll want to access after the game is over in order to get the full package of Trails through Daybreak 2. So, the features of the Martian Garden include the multi-floor dungeon, which is a lot like Trails through Reverie's randomized dungeons. The Mystic Cube, where you can obtain the various equipment, costumes, and items. The Craft Enhance, where you can level up crafts for other characters. The shops, where you can buy new stuff. And of course, and maybe the most important, the minigames, where we can play various minigames that you encounter in the main story. So let's take a few minutes and go kind of in depth on each of these sections. The first and probably most important is the multi-floor dungeon. So it's very reminiscent of Trails in the Reverie's Reverie Corridor, except for the fact that instead of going from floor to floor, you instead go node to node. You first select an area to explore, and then you are given a bunch of nodes on a pathway in order to get to the final node on the pathway. How you get to that final node is totally up to you, and you can choose to explore all the nodes, or just the ones that are connected to the final one. Each node has its own subtasks that you must complete, such as killing small enemies, finding certain items, reaching the end, etc., etc. Once that task is complete, the node is considered completed, and then you may move on to the next one in the line. Once you've reached the final node, you must fight a boss to complete the whole area. It should be noted that these areas are randomly generated, and if you wish to, you may go back into the same areas and same nodes to get a second reward or a third reward if you feel so inclined. So, speaking of rewards, probably the 2 most important rewards you get from doing these dungeons are the skill stones, which you can use to enhance your crafts, and the shard stones, which you can use in the Mystic Cube to get even more loot. So much like in the Trails in Reverie, there's a little gotcha machine, and this time it's called the Mystic Cube, and you put those shard totems in, and out pours a bunch of new stuff, including some gifts, skill stones, sepith, datas, hollow cores, music tracks, accessories, anything you want to actually make the gameplay much more enjoyable, including a ton of sepith. So the other thing you can spend your hard-earned rewards from the dungeon on are the craft enhance portions, where you can spend your skill stones to enhance any craft, including S-crafts. If you have certain characters you really love over other characters, or certain crafts that you really enjoy using, you feel like you really would like to see them more powerful, then this is the place to go. I know, for example, I'm going to definitely pump up Rosette's Cobalt Curtain because that craft was absolutely broken in Daybreak 1, and hoping it's still broken in Daybreak 2. And if I can make it a little more powerful, all the better. Now for the portion you guys have all been waiting for, and that is the minigames. There are 4 minigames in total. I mean, I would consider it more 3 minigames and a torture device, but I digress. There's one-on-one basketball, 7 Hearts, which is a card game, hacking, and yeah, I guess there's fishing too, if that's your thing. In one-on-one basketball, you can challenge any of your teammates to a game of one-on-one, and basically it works a lot like any of your golf games you played in the past, where you have to hold X and get the meter fill up correctly to get the shot in. You play offense and defense, taking turns, and whoever scores the most points at the end wins. It's pretty simple, but it looks like it'd be a lot of fun, especially if you ever wanted to see who can be the Michael Jordan of your teammates. Replacing Vantage Masters as the card game this time around will be 7 Hearts. It's a 4-player game where basically it's the Trails version of the game of Uno. It's an incredibly luck-dependent game from the looks of it. And basically, it's the total score is your life plus the cards in hand is the winner of the round. You have all your standard Uno abilities like reverse, skip turns, make people lose cards, give people gain cards, etc., etc. Whatever you need to do to win the match. It doesn't seem overly complicated, but it does seem like it could be a lot of fun. Definitely worth checking out.
And that's how it's done.
One more game.
The third of these games is Hacking, which is essentially a 3D maze where you must guide your avatar, avoiding doors and avoiding obstacles before the time runs out. When you run into a door in the maze that you must open, you must input a sequence of button presses, which is very reminiscent of Auron's overdrive ability from Final Fantasy X. There are also monsters in the maze that you have to press R3 to see and avoid, otherwise your time will be eaten up pretty fast. When opening chests in the main game, you'll often see this minigame, so it's advised to actually get pretty good at it if you want to get all the chests in the game. And finally, in my opinion, the worst minigame in every JRPG, fishing. Yes, fishing is back in Daybreak 2, and it's a little different than you remember it, maybe from Reverie. This time around, you can use your Sword Search ability to actually find an optimal place to fish. And then when the fish bites, you need to manually move your L stick around to the green area of the map, and then press X as it lines up over the cursor. Doing so a few times will catch you your fish. Hooray! You've played Gacha for old people.
Nice, I got one.
And that's pretty much everything you're going to experience in Martian Garden, barring anything that you might actually end up seeing more in post-game. But that also brings us to the end of this preview as well. As always, if you enjoy these previews, please feel free to hit the like button and the subscribe button. And please, by all means, leave a comment below. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them the best I can in a timely manner. And there's always a written version of this preview, this time by my fellow RPG fan editor, Zeke, and it is a great perspective on this same preview. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good night. Peace out.